So I want to talk about the general concept of semantics and pragmatics. So basically, semantics and pragmatics are the study of the language meaning, right? And to start with, I list three main parts of today's topic. The first part is about the common aspects and differences between semantics and pragmatics. The second part is about semantics. Mainly, I'll talk about lexical semantics and phrasal and sentential semantics. Then it's about pragmatics. So to start with, I want to say that the common aspect and the differences between semantics and pragmatics are, first, they both are studying the meaning of the language. Secondly, semantics is dealing with the literal and dictionary-based meaning of the words and sentences. That means the meaning of a word. It is dealing the meaning of the word that is we human created for, right? However, pragmatics is dealing with the interpretation of the language in some particular situations, real life situations. To give a better understanding, I put a sentence, the light is on, right? In the sense of semantics, so it is literally means the lighting device is turning on right now. And in the pragmatic sense, such as in the life situation, when the wife is telling her husband to turn off the lighting device before they go to sleep, right? Then let's talk about lexical semantics. Firstly, what is the concept of lexical semantics? Lexical semantics, it is the studying of the word's meaning and the meaning relationships among the words. For example, it is dealing with one word which is sounding the same but has different meaning, such as the word bank, right? Both mean financial situation and river bank. And in the synonym aspect, like those two words, happy and joyful, they have some common sense regarding their meaning, but they still have some differences, right? Also, it is dealing with antonyms such as hot and cold, right? And both hot and cold they are a pair of degreeable antonyms, right? So it is the study of such relationships. There are three main contents of lexical semantics. The first one is conceptual meaning and connotative or associative meaning. Basically, it's about one word can be interpreted into another meaning, which is not seems has a close connection with its original meaning. Or in another word, the word can be used as a slang, right? For example, this pair of words like rooster and cock, right? So in the word of cock, you can use it as a slang word, right? And like this pair, whore and prostitute, right? So it has its conceptual meaning, also it has its connotative meaning. Well, I like to put it as a slang word, slang meaning, or rather. Secondly, about the semantic property. Semantic property, I'm looking at semantic property. It is like the classification of the words based on their common ground, either they are belonging to the same clan, belonging to the same species, right? The same group, some common ground of some of the words, right? So thirdly, it's analytic sentences, contradictions, and situational sentences. So it's about sentences can be interpreted into literal meaning, or this sentence can be true by virtue of meaning alone, or it can be true according to the situations, or it's totally false, right? It's contradictions. It's a study about this. So let's look at lexical relations. The concept of lexical relations, it studies the different ways of such as pronunciation, spelling, concept, similarities, etc. words related to each other in terms of their meaning. And it helps us to understand how words connect to other words, right? Example, studying contents like in the polysemy study, right? It is the study of a word that is or are extended from its original conceptual meaning. Let's take the word fork, right? In its literal meaning, it's basically a silver tableware for eating, for dining. But its second meaning is extended or derived from the shape of the fork, right? So as it becomes the meaning of divergence of a road or river into two parts, right? So lexical relationships has those 8 main parts of study. The first one, it's the homonymy study. Homonymy study is about two different words that can be sound the same but spelled differently, or spelled the same and sound differently. Even they can spelled the same and sound the same. So this is about homonymy study. And polysemy study is about a word can be a meaning of a word can be derived from its original meaning, original source meaning, right? And returnymy is basically the study of some ancient words or words that were used in the past, and they're still using right now, but the point is that they are changed either by shrinking its parts into a simplified version, or basically cut half of its old word structure to a for example, another half, to keep the another half, right? So the first one is about hypernymy. Hypernymy is basically the study of a word can have two totally different meanings. Or no, I think hypernymy, sorry, I think I said it wrong. Hypernymy, hypernymy is a relationship of meaning inclusion between two or more words, such as that the meaning of one word is included in the meaning of another, right? It is like it is dealing a word who has a general meaning of a whole, and it's sort of and with its with those specific meaning of words that is that are included in the word who has the general meaning, right? Also, the synonyms. Synonyms looks easy. It's about synonyms, but it includes some points that we need to pay attention to. For example, there are concepts like perfect synonyms and near synonyms, right? That is perfect synonyms mean words having exactly the same meaning, and near synonyms, it's words sharing the most of their semantic meaning. Also, the metonymy. Metonymy is dealing with metonymy is it's basically substitute for the object that is meant, right? The name of an attribute or a concept associated with that object. To put it simply, it's, let's say, the word crown, right? What is another word that is has a near connection with the word crown, right? It's king. King wears the crown. So metonymy is dealing with words like crown, that if we see the word crown, we can refer this word crown as a king, right? As a king. Then we are going to study antonyms. Antonyms has a few parts. Antonyms has a few concepts about it. There's complementary antonyms, gradable antonyms, relational opposites, right? Even antonyms or auto antonyms. So those are the concepts we need to study about. Then the last one is about words ambiguity. So the concept of words ambiguity it is basically because a word can, that is what I said wrong about hypernymy. So ambiguity is because a word has two totally different meanings that has virtually no connection with each other of their meanings. So On the sentence level, a sentence is ambiguous if it can be interpreted in more than one way, right? So when we say it's ambiguous either on the lexical level or sentence level, because one word can be interpreted into two different meanings. Well, you can also say the meaning is depends on the context, but that's another topic, right? So personally, I think lexical semantics and lexical relations can be sorted out with each other, right? Me personally regard lexical semantics as the structure, right? As a rule, I cannot find a better word of how to demonstrate, how to show, lexical semantics are working. And lexical relationships, lexical relations are like the bricks or the supporting, right? Rather supporting columns of the structure, right? So that is my personally opinion. That is the lexical relations can be the concepts or the content of lexical. Those 8 lexical relations can be sorted to each of those 3 lexical semantics. That is, I put homonymy, polysemy, and retronymy to associate with the concept, the lexical semantic first concept, the conceptual meaning, and the connotative or associative meaning. And I put hyperonymy, synonym of lexical relations to associate with semantic properties. And metonymy, antonymy, and ambiguity of lexical relations to associate with analytic sentences, contradictions, and situational sentences. So we've briefly looked through lexical semantics, particularly lexical relations. Now let's look at phrasal or sentential semantics. The concept of phrasal and sentential semantics, it is a study of the sentence or phrase as a whole, right? The study of the meaning of syntactic units larger than the word. Some example of its concepts in the phrasal semantic, like the idiom kicks the bucket. Kicks the bucket, if you interpret it or if you look at it in a semantic sense, it's just you with your foot to hit the bucket, right? But it actually means to die in the idiomatic sense, right? This demonstrates how the meaning of a phrase can be different from the literal meanings of its individual words. Examples of sentential semantics are like there are concepts like entailment, right? Entailment, which precedent sentence or let me put it, the preceding sentence is true from its precedent sentence. Something like John assassinated Mary. That means Mary is dead. So Mary is dead. The sentence of Mary is dead is true based on John assassinated Mary. Right? Concept like that. So what are those parts of content of phrasal sentential semantic studies? Mainly, there are four contents of phrasal and sentential semantic studies. The first one is principle of compositionality. Principle of compositionality literally means a sentence is constructed according to the grammatical rules, regardless it has some meaningful sense or not, right? Such as the idiomatic phrases, where the second concept is semantic rules. Semantic rules, to put it simply, it's about it's about how we are classify, or rather label, parts of the sentence, right? So it's basically dissecting parts of the sentence and put a proper term for each part of the sentence. So generally those parts of the sentence are classified as agent, theme, location, goal, source, instrument, experiencer, causative, and processor. The third content of phrasal sentential semantics is the sentential meaning. This is about the entailment. For example, the main sentence, if there's a given main sentence, it can entails its sub-sentence, and the sub-sentence is true based on the main sentence. So the main sentence is the entailment of the sub-sentence, right? So the first content of phrasal sentential semantics is sense and reference. Basically, it's dealing with who is said or done something in the sentence, right? In that sentence, who refers who said that, who did that, right? Who's who in that sentence. About the sense, it's about sometimes the fragment of the sentence can have the referent meaning, but it doesn't can have the, I would say, referent purpose, but it doesn't have the sense, or it has the sense, but it doesn't have the referent purpose. Alright, so let's look at pragmatics. So the concept of pragmatics, it is concerned with the interpretation of linguistic meaning in the context of the real life language use, right? The example contents of pragmatic study, like in the concept of presuppositions. So if you say, do you still have your book, that means the listener once possessed the book, right? So that is a concept of presuppositions. There's many other different concepts. We'll look at them later. And also concepts examples like deixis. Deixis, it's basically referring to the meaning of the words or phrases that are relative to the speaker's immediate current situation in the context of time, place, and participants. For example, it's dealing the real-time situation, to put it simply. But there's rules, or rather factors, of the deixis sentence that is has to include either a person, pronouns, or time or place, right? In that sentence, when you make the deixis sentence. Well, so let's look at its contents, the starting contents. Firstly, it's about the pronouns. In the pronoun study, there are co-referentiality and antecedent bound pronoun, free or unbound pronoun. So it is a concept that is let's take the concept of bound pronoun and free pronoun as an example. It is bound pronoun. In order to talk about bound pronoun, we have to talk about antecedent, because antecedent is basically an object in a sentence that is get referred by a pronoun. For example, Tom likes his new bag, right? So the pronoun his, and so the name Tom, the person Tom, is the antecedent of the pronoun his, right? So they are in pairs. So right now you can see his is a bound pronoun of the name Tom, whereas free and unbound pronoun, it's like there's no reference, right? There's pronoun, right? He did his homework. Well, let's make another sentence. The dress. Let me think of a better sentence. His hand is waving. Right here, there's no, for example, no antecedent, right? Only a pronoun his. So in this sense, there's no reference for the pronoun his. So we can say his is free or unbound pronoun, right? Things like that will, you can get details and specific concepts of those concepts when you get into the details of them. So the second concept is presuppositions. Presuppositions, to put it simply, actually, as we've mentioned before, it's like let's make an example like I'm full, right? I'm full. So that means you have already eaten, right? Or you've eaten something, to put it more precisely. So that is about the concept of presuppositions. And lastly, about the deixis. Deixis, also mentioned from last slide. It's about the real life moment when the speaker's talking, right? The language which is the language that is spoken by the speaker in the real life moment, right? That's about deixis. There includes a few concepts to be studied of. So that's it. That's about pragmatics and semantics.